I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard.
People who defend police officers will often speak of the good apples, the good officers who do the right thing and they actually serve the American people. And so I want to highlight a good officer here. His name is Paul Paris. And this good officer saw child predators within his own unit with the Louisville Metro Police Department in Kentucky. And when he reported these officers who were preying on children, he was swiftly retaliated against, which is why he had to sue. And so there goes the myth of the good cop or the good apple just being in every police department, because we certainly know that the Louisville Metro Police Department is filled with child predators, because the kinds of officers who would have reported their fellow officers for touching kids have all been chased out, and Paul Paris is my prime example.
Tonight, disturbing new reporting about a police youth program linked to nearly 200 allegations of sex abuse and misconduct across the country.
Former recruiter for the St. Louis County Police Explorers program pleads guilty to sexual misconduct.
Brad Schumann pleaded guilty in November to deprivation of rights under the color of law. He admitted to subjecting a minor in the Explorer program to sexual contact in 2010. Kenneth Betts pleaded guilty to enticement, attempted enticement, and child porn charges.
Officer William Rusko was supposed to be a mentor of two teenage girls in the Trumbull Police Explorers program. Now he's a defendant, facing a judge in Bridgeport today, charged with multiple counts of sexual assault against them.
When it comes to predators targeting children, there are two institutions in the United States that comes to mind. First is the Roman Catholic Church, and the other is the Boy Scouts of America. And if you were to mention those two names with the idea of predators, then you wouldn't get much pushback. However, there's another scandal in American society that many U.S. citizens fail to recognize, and that is the problem of the people who were supposed to investigate the Roman Catholic Church and also the Boy Scouts of America, and perhaps the reasons why U.S. law enforcement, police officers, sheriff's deputies, FBI, you name it, had an issue with arresting the priests and the scout leaders who were targeting children is because U.S. law enforcement already had their own issues with hiring predators as police officers, and then those same police officers end up in youth explorer programs where across the country we've had hundreds of millions of dollars worth of lawsuit settlements, criminal convictions, and massive changes to youth explorer programs with police departments. And this problem is so bad that many parents across the country refuse to place their child in a police explorer program. And the part that may shock you is that usually it's little girls who have to worry about predators, but in this case, just like with the Boy Scouts and also the Catholic Church, one of the biggest reasons for many people's indifference or just flat out apathy is because you've had so many young male victims. In order to understand the reasons why you have so many child predators in the Explorer programs, you have to understand the history of exploring itself. So I decided to go to the exploring.org website so that you can see the history and you can understand the reasons why this happened in the first place. Now, exploring itself didn't start until 1959 into the early 60s, and it started as an all-male type of program where you had boys ages 14 to 20 years old doing essentially job shadowing programs with police officers and sometimes firefighters and just first responders in general, because this was supposed to make these young men more successful in life, and they were supposed to shadow these working professionals. And now you might be saying to yourself, that doesn't sound very bad, so what's so bad about it? Well, nothing about it is inherently bad until you realize who started exploring. And the original Explorer program started with the Boy Scouts of America.
Hold up. What did you say?
It's problematic at best.
And at this point in the video, you might be saying to yourself, wait a minute, these people let the Boy Scouts of America start a program with young children who are supposed to be supervised by adults. adults.
That would be most unwise and costly.
A fox guarding the hen house?
And if you're thinking that you've heard this story before and that you've seen how this movie ends,
certified lover boys, certified pedophiles. Wop, 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 wop. That fuck 'em up. Wop, 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 wop. I'ma do my stuff.
well, I have to inform you that you're not crazy, and the movie ended the exact same way as it did with the Boy Scouts of America with all the young boy victims. Because quietly, the Explorer program has had some of the worst numbers when it comes to child predators in American history. Because these scandals didn't just start with one state or two states or 3 states or 4 states. No, we have 50 states, and you've had Explorer program issues in almost every one of them. And the way that you know that's true is because I'm not gonna focus on a large state like California or New York or Texas, and I also won't focus on an obvious state like Virginia or Florida.
Too easy.
Or even a state like Oregon that already has a high amount of child predators and registered offenders.
Too easy.
No, let's focus on a state that's somewhere in the middle of the country in terms of location, but also has a lot of information about police child predators within their Police Youth Explorer program. And that will be the Louisville Metro Police Department in Louisville, Kentucky. And that is the same Louisville Metro Police Department that was involved with Breonna Taylor. But that is a separate issue and a separate video for a separate day, because it's not shocking that you have child predators when you have officers who will just shoot someone when they're sleeping.
Paul Paris claims he was the first to uncover the sex abuse scandal of the program after investigating a report from a teen who said he received inappropriate contacts from Kenneth Betts. Betts is one of 2 former officers in prison on charges connected to the case. Paris says that he reported the allegation to commanding officers in 2013. In the years following, he says the administrator created a hostile work environment for him and put his law enforcement certification in jeopardy.
And yes, folks, you heard that correctly. This man was being punished not because he was a bad cop, but because he was a good cop, and he wanted to just report and investigate claims that children were being victimized. And instead of his co-workers supporting him, they would instead persecute him.
It's enough to make anyone crazy.
And this shows you what happens when the good cop tries to come forward. They are swiftly punished and silenced. And so what exactly did Paul Paris uncover and or confirm that blew open the whole Police Youth Explorer scandal nationwide and caused him to be disliked by certain people who wore the exact same uniform and the exact same badge as he did? Well, thanks to the Courier-Journal, we have a whole timeline of what happened with the Louisville Metro Police Department. And so let's start from the beginning. On October 14th of 2016, the Louisville Metro Police Department acknowledged that one of their officers was under investigation for inappropriate conduct with a young person who just so happened to be a youth explorer in the Louisville Metro Police Department's Youth Explorer program. And then on March 10th of 2017, a victim came forward who was 22 years old at that time, alleged that former Louisville Metro Police officers Kenneth Betts and Brandon Wood had both violated them in both their police cars and also in their personal homes. And if you think the Louisville Metro Police Department would have quickly condemned these officers or at least investigate them, well, you would be wrong. Because at that time, a Louisville Metro Police lieutenant whose name was Curtis Flattery was the person who ran the Louisville Metro Police Department's Youth Explorer program. And instead of this officer who was a supervisor doing the right thing and actually investigating these crimes, he would instead try to cover it up, which means that he tried to run interference for his officers to protect them, despite the fact that it became apparent that child predators were loose within the Louisville Metro Police Department and wearing police badges. And so a lawsuit was filed where the Louisville Metro Police Department was named as a defendant along with the Boy Scouts of America. And so this shows you that once again, when you include the Boy Scouts of America and young adults, it is like mixing oil with water. It just doesn't work. And in March 13th of 2017, in the same year, Mayor Greg Fisher pulled the plug on the Louisville Louisville Metro Police Department's Youth Explorer program in light of all the allegations. And now for the next part, I want to remind you about the nation's attention being on police officers given what happened to Sonya Massey. You had an officer with a troubled past, and based on his military record of the Army not even wanting this man in the military, well, we find out that in this case, you also have a history of police officers being child predators and yet never being disciplined and being protected throughout their careers. Because on March 16th of 2017, we find out that the Courier-Journal and other news outlets across the country discovered that Kenneth Betts, one of the former Louisville Metro police officers who was accused of being a predator at that time and is now proven to be, had been accused on other occasions such as 2013 and also 2014. And with those allegations, he was also within the Youth Explorer program, and it was exposed that this man was accused of being a predator towards a female explorer. And despite all of this, Kenneth Betts was protected because at that time the Louisville Metro Police Chief was Steve Conrad.
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct.
And Steve Conrad protected Kenneth Betts by closing the investigation into Kenneth Betts' behavior when he resigned in 2014. And so Kenneth Betts was protected by the LMPD police chief and also his lieutenant. And so you can see why Paul Paris came forward, because he saw all of this, because he was within the exact same department. And so he knew his department had a habit of protecting child predators.
That's terrible.
Pretty sad, really.
And then if you look into March 17th, you find out that the former mayor, Greg Fisher, made an announcement that the city has hired the former U.S. Attorney, Kerry Harvey, to look into the Louisville Metro Police Department and the many allegations against the department, and specifically the Police Explorer program. And then on April the 1st, then Mayor Greg Fisher had to order the then police chief, Steve Conrad, and other members of the Louisville Metro Police Department's leadership structure to report all cases and all future incidents involving these types of crimes. And the mayor said this under the threat of law because it is actually in the law. And so that should let you know everything you need to know right there when a mayor has to order a police chief to actually obey the law and protect children.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way.
It's in their nature. They can't help it.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Does seem odd. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
It's in their nature.
It's awful in every way.
You know, when someone has to order you to do that and you're a police chief, and then you have people out there who have the nerve and the audacity to wonder why people don't trust cops.
Stop it.
And then on April the 3rd of 2017, the FBI looked into the Louisville Metro Police Department's Youth Explorer program, and then they opened a criminal investigation.
Finally!
Took you long enough.
And then on April the 11th of 2017, a judge unsealed a lawsuit motion thanks to the Courier-Journal and other news outlets. Then on April 13th of 2017, both officers involved were indicted, and both Woods and Betts pled not guilty, despite all the evidence against them.
That's bullshit. Stop lying.
C-A-P, cap!
C-A-P. Cap. Cap. C-A-P, cap.
7 lawsuits were filed that named Wood, Betts, and other officers who were all accused of being predators. And in the process of going through that lawsuit, you had another lawsuit that was filed in 2018, but this time by a female explorer who was named BL, and the other one was named CF in the documents. But the BL lawsuit mentions yet another Louisville Metro police officer, or at least a former officer, and that is former Louisville Metro police officer Bradley Schumann, who she says assaulted assaulted her between 2008 and 2009. And just like in the case of Kenneth Betts, the then Louisville Metro Police Lieutenant Curtis Flattery was running the Youth Explorer program, and when the victim's parents approached Curtis Flattery, he was told about everything that was happening, but just like with Kenneth Betts, nothing was done to Bradley Schumann. And that is despite the fact that we see all this evidence that clearly shows something definitely happened with that program and something is definitely wrong here. And like I said before, we know that this happens a lot to young women. However, there is a specific epidemic within the police Youth Explorer programs across the country where you've had so many young male victims. And we know this because on April 31st, we also find out that another lawsuit was filed against Kenneth Betts. And in that lawsuit, we have a male victim. On November 21st of 2017, the then Louisville Metro Police Chief Steve Conrad did something very interesting. He said that he told the then Louisville Deputy Mayor Ellen Henson in 2013 and also 2014 about all the allegations involving his officers within the Youth Explorer program. But the part that you may find interesting is that the then Deputy Mayor Ellen Henson did not deny that Chief Conrad told her about this.
And everybody's okay with this?
Did I miss something?
In fact, she says that she does not recall him telling her all of this, but that she does not doubt that she was told. So based on that information, we can see one of the biggest reasons why police predators get away with their crimes is because when people are in positions of authority and they have the opportunity to actually stop a predator in a police badge, they either don't do anything, or when they fail to do anything, they lie about it later on in terms of denying knowledge of that specific incident or whatever you're talking about in that moment. But it was very interesting that this woman essentially admitted to knowing about all of this.
That's some bullshit. Ain't that some bullshit?
It's in their nature, they can't help it.
Right to jail.
And then my very next question is, what the hell did you do about it? And as you can see, she did nothing, which means she should be brought up on charges as well as everybody else involved, because how is that not endangerment and also neglect?
Right to jail, right away.
And then on June 27th of 2018, a report was released that did say the Louisville Metro Police Department mishandled the allegations, but that there was no evidence the senior police commanders covered up any of the allegations, which is a flat out lie.
C-A-P. Cap. Cap. C-A-P. Cap.
We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up.
Cap! Because we have Officer Paul Paris, who was within the Louisville Metro Police Department, whose allegations were all proven to be correct. And if you look at May 28th of 2019, we can see that Brandon Wood was sentenced to just 70 months in prison for all of his crimes. Just 70 months, which means this man is probably already out of prison.
Oh my God! Wow!
Who is responsible for this?
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
And then on July 5th of 2019, we find out that Kenneth Betts was sentenced to 16 years in federal prison, which is the longest of any officer involved in this scandal.
I'm going to jail!
The sad part, you're not going to jail. You're going to prison.
Don't drop the soap.
And then in November of 2020, we have the $6 million lawsuit against the Louisville Metro Police Department, Kenneth Betts, Brandon Wood, and other officers, including LMPD's leadership. And now the next part is going to be very fascinating, because in 2020, it was uncovered that the Louisville Metro Police Department had at least 738,000 records of alleged abuse that was allegedly perpetrated by Louisville Metro police officers officers, and in some cases with officers such as Kenneth Betts and Brandon Wood, we know those allegations weren't just allegations. That was the truth. And so if you're seeing where they hid 738,000 files and records relating to just 2 officers who were accused of being predators, then my original statement that this department is filled with child predators has been completely vindicated along with Paul Paris. Because holy smokes, you're talking about 750,000 files that was hidden and deleted, and the city of Louisville, Kentucky actually allowed the police department to delete these files despite all of the allegations. And what makes it worse is that if you remember that report that was released by the Louisville Metro Council on June 27th of 2018, they said that in a report there was no evidence to suggest that police commanders worked to cover up the allegations of misconduct. And so that was clearly a lie.
C-A-P. Cap. Cap. C-A-P. Cap.
Because how in the hell do you delete 738,000 files and yet no commanders within the Louisville Metro Police Department ever knew about it?
You really should stop.
It's not true.
Do you truly believe that is the truth? Do you really believe the Louisville Metro Council and the leadership within the Louisville Metro Police Department, when they said they knew nothing about the allegations, do you believe that for a second?
Pretty damn bad, huh?
Certified lover boys, certified pedophiles.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Maybe we could call the police.
These are the police.
Oh my God!
C-A-P. Cap.
A-C-A-B, don't you step to M-E. I run to your son downtown, then turn them upside down. But some of your monsters like stranger things in the upside down. No surrender, no retreat. Certified soldier, got receipts. You can't walk with my feet. I pack nothing but steel for the heat. I'm not soft, I'm elite. Play my anthem on repeat. Now sing it with me. A-C-A-B. Hating is just weak. Get off my meat, go take a seat. Came from nothing, now I'm something. Descendant of slaves, enemy slayed. It's just how I was raised. Black power, temperature raised. Beautiful yet bloody days. That's why I can't be tamed. None of it was ever a game. A-C-A-B, don't step to me. Ancestral power through me. Big dog, big man, big money. Now feel the teeth. Can't be me, can't see me. That's